Today, I'm sharing some stories with you about how a single idea can change the world to be a better place. Can't wait for you to hear from my guests and hear the story. Hey, welcome to the Small Business Made Simple podcast, brought to you by socialmediaandmarketing.com.au. Being in business is never easy, but it can be simple, or at least simpler. Join me, your host Jen Donovan, every week where we focus on marketing, social media, and working towards simplifying your business. You with me? Let's do this.
Gonna dream it big, 'cause someone out there listening. Everyone's got a voice to give, and it's time I heard you whistling, 'cause there's no point at all, in dreaming small.
Hey there, my fabulous listener. Welcome to episode 97 of the Small Business Made Simple podcast. Thank you, as always, for lending me your ears today. I know there's lots of choices out there, and I really do appreciate you making me one of them. If you're a first-time listener, then hey, super welcome to you. Welcome to the Small Business Made Simple family. I'm really happy to have you here. I am, of course, the host, Jen Donovan, and it's my job via this podcast, social media, and just about everywhere else I hang out to make your business life simpler. Of course, if you're a returning listener, then super welcome back to you as well. I'm a thought leader when it comes to marketing here in Australia and a marketing strategist for small business. Why? Well, because I know that business can be lonely and hard and complicated, and it's rarely easy. But it should be simple, or at least simpler. So that's my commitment to you on the so-called Small Business Made Simple podcast. This episode is sponsored by Spend With Us, www.spendwithus.com.au, an online marketplace for rural and regional businesses where you can spend your dollars knowing you are supporting 600 plus rural and regional businesses. And if you're already thinking about Christmas, we would love for you to head to spendwithus.com.au and spend some of your Christmas money in the bush where you know it will really count. So many businesses in rural Australia have been hit by, a thrice whammy. They've been through drought, and then they got bushfires, and then they got COVID. Or got hit by COVID, I should say. So I know they'd really appreciate your support on the Spend With Us online marketplace. Sometimes because you know something and you know it just so well that you forget that other people don't know what you know. Yeah. Exactly. Me too. Which is why when someone mentioned to me in a DM on Instagram and wrote to me and said, "Hey, Jen, is Spend With Us the site that's kind of been sponsoring your podcast the last few weeks? Is that your business too?" And I was like, yeah, it is. It's another part of Jen, another part of basically this vast world of doing business that I have that's outside my social media and marketing. And I guess I was kind of surprised, but also made me stop and think that, hey, maybe I have listeners who don't realize that I have a whole other business to my name. So this episode's all about me. Well, just kidding. Well, not kind of kidding, but kind of kidding. This episode is a little about me. So it's about me and two other trailblazing women who I'm lucky enough to call my business partners. And we're chatting to you about how one simple idea has managed to change the world for better. But before I introduce you to Laura and Sarah, I want to give you a bit of a backstory in case I forget to tell you in the actual interview. About 12 months ago, actually, on Sunday or last Saturday, it was 12 months ago, so the 31st of October 2019, I was driving home from a week away speaking. Remember that? Remember when we used to be able to have live audiences and sit in live audiences and talking to live audiences? Me too. Fingers crossed, 2021. Anyway, I'd been around the southern parts of the Riverina in New South Wales talking to small business owners, and they were all tired, exhausted, and really not looking forward to Christmas 2019. In fact, they'd pretty much lost all enthusiasm. And I know, and they know, that if farmers don't have money, then towns don't have money. And the drought that they were in had been really long and really tiring, and their energy was just being zapped. we kind of had Buy from the Bush, which was a hashtag doing the rounds for about a week or so at that particular time. And most of the untech savvy business owners really didn't know what it was or how to get involved. So on a 3-hour drive home over the plains of New South Wales, which have nothing to look at other than the bitumen in front of you, I hatched a plan to start a Facebook group called Buy from a Bush Business. Fast forward 12 months and that group has almost 300,000 people in it. Yep, it's almost a city and I'm apparently the mayor. 300,000 people in less than 12 months. Or round about that in 12 months. In June this year, knowing how big this movement was, I decided that I actually wanted to build an online marketplace for it. Of course, then that's how I connected with Lauren and Sarah. Lauren and Sarah had the Spend With Us platform, which was already an online marketplace, had the same target audience I had, rural and regional Australia or rural and regional small businesses. And so we put our heads together, and as it would happen, as you see it now, we've joined forces, created a company, built a brand new platform, and that is, of course, what you see today on spendwithus.com.au and my Facebook group, Buy from Bush Business. This episode, even though it's kind of about our story, it's also about inspiration to show you that one small idea that I had to help drought affected small businesses and one small idea that Lauren and Sarah had to help bushfire affected businesses has grown into something that I don't think either of us or any one of us, any three of us, ever imagined what it would actually go through. So I really hope you do enjoy this episode. Yes, it's about us, but it's also about inspiring you. Perhaps you have that one little idea in your head that you just haven't taken out for a spin. So I really hope that this episode inspires you to do that. It's a little bit more from the heart than the other episodes I've done, but I kind of figure maybe after 96 episodes that we're almost family, you and me, right? So I will let you in to my heart just a little bit more. So enjoy this episode with me, Lauren and Sarah. Ladies, I'm super excited to have you on the podcast today because I feel this is kind of like a little gem that my audience doesn't quite know about, you know, the whole Spend With Us, Buy from a Bush Business. So I'm really excited to have you guys on to help me talk about what it is that all three of us are doing collectively to help rural and regional Australia. But before we get there, I'm going to pick on you, Sarah, to introduce yourself to my audience and just tell everyone who you are and what it is that you do besides what we're going to talk about today.
Hi, Jen. Thanks for having me. My name's Sarah Britz. I'm a web designer and developer. I'm based on the Central Coast in New South Wales. I'm a mum of 2 young kids, and I've been working with small businesses for probably more than 17 years now, doing their websites and helping them sort of get online presences.
Yeah, beautiful. Thank you. And Lauren, hello.
Hi, Jen. So I'm Lauren. I'm a clinical psychologist. I've been working in the field of psychology for 14 years and based in a small rural country town in northeast Victoria. I'm a mum of 2 boys with another one on the way and have been located in rural and regional areas for my professional career and have a deep and evolving interest in rural mental health and also rural small business. So very excited to be chatting to you today.
Perfect. So we have a very unique situation in that we are actually all business partners that have never actually met before, other than on Zoom calls. So I feel like a bit of a grown-up that I have business partners around the country who we actually haven't met. But I know how I met you two, but how did you two meet? That's probably, for me, I'm a little bit curious as well. So maybe we need to rewind just a little bit, actually, and talk about why you met. So for you, Lauren and Sarah, back when the bushfires were really scarily happening in both Victoria and New South Wales, you guys set off on a bit of a path for helping those businesses. So Sarah, why did you decide to help, and what did help look like from your perspective?
So yeah, being a web designer by trade, I wanted to do something that I could use my skills to give back to the community. Rather than donating, I'd already donated when all the bushfires were happening, and I live on a rural property myself, and we were lucky enough to not be affected too badly by any of the bushfires. So I put out some calls on social media to see if I could help any small businesses that were affected, and I had a number of them contact me. And through that, I decided to create the Spend With Us site, because I realized that it was going to be much easier and quicker for me to create one platform that could support more businesses and create little websites for 10, 15, 20 businesses. So that's how it came about. I came up with the idea of the name Spend With Us just very randomly, trying to find a name that was available that kind of would mean something, and set that all up. It started from there. And I met Lauren very randomly again through social media. She'd started up a Facebook page called Vic Spend With Us, and because we had the similar name, we got in touch, or she got in touch with me actually. And Lauren, if you want to continue.
Yeah, sure. So as the bushfires were raging very early in January, and also experiencing some code red days in the small rural town that we reside in, my sense of anxiety about the experience of going through a bushfire really escalated. And we're sitting on the couch observing these devastating fires that are going through the state. And I noticed that there was some other social media initiatives starting to happen across the country, mostly through Instagram. And that's not a platform that I'm familiar with. And I felt the need to support small rural Victorian towns that had been devastated by the fires. So rather than just donating money, in which we can't directly influence the lives of those affected by bushfires, I set up the Vic Spend With Us Facebook page purely to get some followers to take notice of these businesses that were being affected. And so it was purely about getting the details of those businesses that may have been affected in the different towns and reaching out to community notice boards, and businesses just started to contact and ask for promote through the Facebook page. And like Sarah mentioned, that we both had the similar name, and I noticed the website, so I reached out to her, and it just seemed like a natural fit to collaborate and work together to try and support as many families that were impacted by the trauma of the bushfires.
Yeah, okay. And Sarah, when you said you just reached out and asked if you could help, where did you go for that? Did you go into Facebook groups? Did you just put a call out on your own socials and people shared that? What did that look like?
I did both of those. I did call out on my own website and my own business Facebook page, and I also went into a couple of groups that I knew there were that I'd joined, to help support bushfire affected communities, and put some posts up in there to see if anyone needed help. I'd seen a lot of posts where these business owners were really worried and anxious about how they were going to get donations, or pay their staff, or just keep an income coming in, because most of these rural businesses didn't have a website. They didn't have any form of accepting online payments when their bricks and mortar stores and things were closed. So it basically grew out of that that I created the site. And it started off mainly with donations, and then it grew into sales and people being able to create create livings through the Spend With Us site.
Because I guess it's not just businesses who lost their businesses. Like, we're not talking about just businesses who lost their business in a bushfire. Like, I know Lauren, yourself and myself, we don't live that far from each other, in Northeast Victoria. And the nearest fires for me were probably a couple of 100 kilometres away, the way the crow flies, and we could hardly breathe. Like, the smoke was absolutely horrendous. So some of these places had to close for safety and, for smoke, and there just was no one around as well. So it wasn't just like people had lost their businesses and couldn't reopen. It was just basically they couldn't open.
No, absolutely. And I mean, it was the busiest time of year, or should have been the busiest time of year with tourists, and people couldn't get to their towns because roads were cut off because of the bushfires, so they had no tourists visiting. The very first business that I had join up for Spend With Us, and was one of the reasons why I decided to create the site, she had to close her restaurant because her son has asthma. They had to actually move out of the get away from the town. It was too bad for them, with the smoke, and their town itself wasn't on fire, but the towns around them were. So yeah, it was a really difficult time and very traumatic, I think, for most of those business owners and community members.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's been so much happened since that I think so many businesses, so many people have forgotten about the horrendous summer we had last summer, like only 9-10 months ago, because there's been so much happen this year. And that's why I love that this little podcast is perhaps a little bit timely, because we're heading back into another summer, and hopefully nothing like what we saw last summer. I guess for a bit of context for the listeners, while Lauren and Sarah were building Spend With Us and helping bushfire businesses, I had created a group a couple of months before that on Facebook. So it's very interesting that we're all Facebook. We have all built these things through Facebook groups and our Facebook pages. I was building Buy From a Bush business group, which just turned 1 on the weekend. So 1 year of that. We'll talk about that a little bit later, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And yeah, so I was very drought focused because, we're farmers, we were in drought. So a lot of my business owners and I guess colleagues and friends and clients were affected by drought. So still supporting rural and regional Australia, but I came from a different angle, and none of us knew that COVID-19 was going to come and put everybody in the same boat on top of drought and bushfires as well. So Lauren, you sound like you're definitely the little connector here, because you also reached out to me.
Absolutely. I'm full of resources. When I see an opportunity, I take the bull by the horns and don't like to leave a stone unturned. So absolutely, I noticed your Facebook group and thought that the influence that you were having on rural and regional drought affected businesses was quite profound, and that there seemed to be an opportunity for us to connect and utilise the influence that you had received through the group to support across Australia small, regional and rural businesses, with the pure focus on improving the quality of life of all of these families and their children.
Yeah, because we are talking about helping business owners, but you're absolutely right. It filters down into families, it filters down into communities, and I think all three of us have such a sense of community, whether it's just our community or looking at regional and rural Australia as a whole community. I would love to hear from both of you some little stories, maybe about businesses you've helped or just people who reached out to you that you've managed to have an impact on, but that impact has really stayed with you. I know for me, very early on, I've got some text messages and emails that I'll never forget reading, and they'll always stay with me. I mightn't remember the person's name, but I would definitely remember their story. I'd love, if you've got anything that you could share with us about what impact what you was building had on communities. I'm going to hit you up first, Lauren.
Sure. So within Victoria, certainly there was a number of different towns that seemed to really jump on board with the Facebook page at that stage. We're talking the likes of Murderford, Bright, Beechworth, Rutherglen, and then even up to Corryong, and those small rural Victorian communities. Early on, I also was interviewed by Win News in Ballarat, and there had been a fire go through on the outskirts of Ballarat in a rural area, and one of the businesses involved in that was Leroy Mac Designs, who designed their and make their own merino wool blankets for babies and children, and also adults, if you please. and their property was devastated with a fire that went through, killing livestock and damaging all the fences, and it's those personal stories and the appreciation from the business owner that gives you a sense that what you're doing is helping and does make a difference. And over the time that we've been doing this, I've been really quite impressed at the innovation that businesses have had to survive and to provide staff with ongoing opportunities of employment. Milch Cafe in Falls Creek is one of the businesses that comes to mind, in which they were obviously forced to shut their doors and were innovative and came up with a body care range, and were cooking what they termed bushfire brownies to send out to customers in order to continue to receive an income and employ their staff. And again, the appreciation from that business owner and the person who runs the cafe has been lovely. So there's so many stories like that. What about for you, Sarah?
Yeah, I guess similar. I think the businesses that have had to diversify because of being affected by the bushfires or COVID, they've been the ones that have really stood out in my mind. There's a couple such as there's honey bee hives. There's some beekeepers that were up in northern New South Wales, and their bees and all the bushland around them, was ruined by the bushfires, and they diversified instead of just making honey, but making all these different balms and things from beeswax and things to create a whole range of bath and body balms and rubs and things, and they've made a whole new business. They've had great sales through spend with us as well, and been able to hire new staff going forward now, and they seem to be really thriving, which has been amazing. Again, there's other businesses that had restaurants that have had to close because of the bushfires affecting them, and no tourists coming through, and they've diversified by making and selling their sauces online instead. And there's I think Alpine Sauce Company in Victoria. There's Infused Catering in Dunedin in New South Wales. They're just a couple of the businesses that have had to diversify and create new products and make a living that was something they were completely different from what they were doing, a year ago. So that's been quite an amazing thing to see. And the fact that they've now embraced online selling as well, which was something that a year ago they never had. So yeah.
Yeah, and I guess there's different really interesting points coming out of both those stories. For me, a lot of the people, not a lot, the stories that stick with me came from people who felt like they found somewhere they belong. They felt like Buy from a Bush Business was kind of, the Facebook group was giving them somewhere where they felt there was a community. And, even if money was tight, people would still give them the encouragement, still say, oh, wow, that's beautiful, or like it, or share it, or tag their friends. And so many people reached out to me and said, I've always felt like I'm alone because I live on a rural property, but now I'm starting to feel like there's a whole community of us. And, the sort of online platforms are creating some of that, which I thought, some of those stories, are really quite harrowing and made me cry. But at the end of the day, it was building that community, which I think, is what we are all doing at the end of the day, is sort of bringing collectively rural and regional Australia together, even if it is in the form of some sales for them. But I love the innovation. You've both, talked about innovative businesses. I think that's something, and not only through drought and bushfires, but also through COVID, we have definitely seen some businesses, perhaps they've always wanted to do it, but that actually gave them the push and the shove. And like Sarah, I know you're up on the Central Coast there, but for myself, living in a small rural community, what you were saying before about taking businesses online, like so many of the businesses around me they have a Facebook presence, maybe an Instagram presence, but definitely don't have that shopping cart, that whole, website that they can check in, customers can check out on and things like that, which is kind of, a really good segue into what Spend With Us, Buy From a Bush Business, looks like now. And I guess, Sarah, as the developer, can you walk us through a little bit as to what the platform looks like now, and how it's changing, or how it changed from what you were doing to what you are now, or what we are now, I should say?
Yeah, absolutely. It's grown like I guess it's since we started, we've now got over 600, I think probably over 650 small businesses on our site, which is incredible. They're from all over rural and regional Australia. There's I think probably about 5,000 products available to choose from, such unique and amazing things that you won't find in your normal store or supermarket. If you're looking for gifts that are unique or different, it's a great place to come to, so that people can buy something and know that their money is going towards a small business that really needs that money.
So it's kind of like we've kind of built a marketplace platform. I call it, probably, haven't got the copyright to call it this, but I kind of call it our Amazon for rural and regional Australia, because that you can have to be rural or regional to join the marketplace, the Spend With Us marketplace. But it is basically, you kind of can go there and you can shop with those 650 odd businesses, and fill your cart and just check out the once as you go along. So Sarah, did you find also when you were sorry, Sarah, Lauren, I meant Lauren, I'm looking at Lauren and saying Sarah, did you find that many businesses that you came across just didn't have that online presence as well, or I guess website online presence?
Absolutely. Early on, all of the businesses that I was promoting through the Facebook page, it was just promoting their Facebook pages as well.
Yeah.
And they would receive direct sales through their Facebook or phoning the business, for example. And even as all of the devastation of the bushfires subsided and we could all go and visit the towns again, it was also a platform that people could refer to then know which businesses really needed the support. And I know that my little family absolutely loved going to Bright that first weekend that we're allowed to go and visit again, and walking through the shops knowing that this is making a positive contribution to their lives and their well-being, which was great. So I think also now more than ever, and as we know across the country, it's been promoted significantly, is about buying, shopping small and shopping local. And that continues to be something that is really close to my heart, and I get a lot of satisfaction out of being able to purchase from a small business owner, and making conscious decisions of changing shopping habits to reflect that as well. And particularly leading up to Christmas this year, and I've had to be quite organised with the pending arrival of our third baby, is rather than going to the department stores online and doing those shopping, it's about making slightly different choices so that I could continue to support small business.
Yeah, I really think there's a huge movement towards that. In fact, I know, we have the statistical analytical data to show that there really is a change in consumers' behaviour, that they do want to support local, support small, whether it's rural or regional, or where their small is and where their local is, but there's definitely a movement towards it. Sarah, I just wanted to ask you sort of about the platform itself, though. What if someone is listening and they, it's for service-based and product-based businesses, but we do have many more product-based businesses on the platform. But what if they already have their own website? Why should they look at being on a marketplace such as Spend With Us, as well as have their own website?
So there's a lot of benefits of joining a marketplace as well as having your own website. The main one being sort of we're driving traffic to your business, and you'll be getting new consumers coming and finding your business and products that they won't they wouldn't usually find your business just by going in Google or on your own website. So yeah, one of the best reasons to join a marketplace is that, you know, we do a lot of marketing and promotions for you. You know, we have heaps of consumers coming every day and to try and find products, and they want to support rural and regional small businesses. And if your business is on there, then your business will be found by these consumers, whereas you know, they wouldn't know that you exist otherwise. It's a great opportunity to, you know, increase your brand awareness. You know, we will definitely be bringing more sales if you join a marketplace like Spend With Us.
It's also an extremely affordable option for businesses, rather than going out and having to employ a web developer to develop their own website, which they then need to monitor and continue to pay fees for. It's an extremely affordable option.
Yeah, definitely. And, you know, just to have a little bit of a brag, you get a website expert, a Facebook expert, a clinical psychologist to help you through everything, as well as, you know, other people we pay, like, you know, we have an SEO expert who helps us with our Google ads and, you know, getting found on searches and things like that. Like, there is a whole team. And I guess when I spoke before about community and how some of those emails and messages I got about creating, you know, Buy From a Bush business and the whole community, we've actually created a community between the three of us around all our vendors as well, which is, you know, another great thing that you don't get if you just have a website by yourself. So we've got a sellers group to which, you know, we do lots of education, videos, we get lots of opportunities, which I guess is a really great point that I know both of you created lots of amazing opportunities for your original vendors as well. Like, there was DFAT was one of them that comes to mind. Was that you, Lauren, or Sarah, who sort of got in touch with those sorts of businesses or those enterprises?
Yeah, that was me. I heard that DFAT were looking for small businesses that have been affected by bushfires to support and purchase products from that would be sent, you know, to the different embassies for diplomatic events overseas. And I contacted them, and yeah, I think we had about 5 of our small businesses that they ended up purchasing thousands of dollars worth from each. You know, products that were sent to places like Paris, you know, Kuala Lumpur, all sorts of international places to represent Australian small businesses, which was amazing.
So for the listener, I probably should explain, what is DFAT?
The Department of Foreign Affairs and Trade.
Yep. Here, I can just say, you know, I remember DFAT, but I was like, oh, I wonder I can't quite remember what it stands for, so I better ask. So, yeah, like, you know, unique opportunities for that. I know my Buy From a Bush business group, we had the shopping channel for one Saturday. They did a whole Saturday on vendors that they got in contact with, and that was kind of, they got I don't know, half-hour slots or 15-minute slots, I think it was, to, you know, market their products. So that was incredible, you know, that amount of TV time, perhaps not prime TV time, but definitely something that they wouldn't have got an opportunity for unless they sort of belong to that sort of marketplace community type of thing. Lauren, do you have anything to add to that? Do you come across any of those sorts of promotions or people getting in contact with you?
I think Sarah has got a lot of the resources in that area from the web designer perspective. I've had chats along the way to different council chambers in the state, for example, and they end up providing our information to the local members within different council areas. So as opposed to being able to directly receive opportunities from different organisations, it's more about the promotion of the site and what our platform provides in terms of opportunities.
Yeah, right. So just in case I've kind of skipped over this for any listener, because, you know, we know this, but I'm not quite sure whether I've mentioned this or not. So now Buy From a Bush business, Facebook group, and Spend With Us Facebook site, we've kind of combined both of our businesses, and, you know, now they're one. Now we have a Facebook group and we have an online platform, which is a marketplace platform. So, which, you know, is growing all the time. We've got what I think Sarah just said, 650 small businesses on the marketplace, which, coming into Christmas, we would love a lot more. So if you're listening to this and you're wondering how you're going to get more Christmas sales, then maybe reach out to us for sure. But what's next? What's your big vision, Lauren? I know that you have a vision of, 3 well-behaved, beautiful children. But what would be your vision for the Spend With Us, Buy From a Bush business marketplace model?
My vision would be that the website becomes the leading website that is an Australian household name for supporting rural, small and regional businesses, so that it's the first point of call to click onto the website, scroll through the products and purchase directly with a small business, and knowing that we're supporting parts of our country that otherwise would not be recognised. That would be.
We live in a very wide country. There is a lot, we represent such a small proportion of northeast Victoria and the central coast of New South Wales, but like you say, there's a lot of people to be represented and to be helped. So I would like to see it to be a household name as well. Sarah, how about you? What's next for you for Spend With Us marketplace?
Yeah, same as what you both have just said. I really would love it to grow and become a household name. I want it to be the first place that consumers go to when they're looking to do their shopping. There's just so many amazing and wonderful products that can be found on the site. I really want it to connect, the cities and the bush together, so that people from the city can buy all these amazing products without actually having to physically go and visit these towns, themselves. We've got lots of ideas and lots of new features and things that we'll be bringing to the website, over time. We've got a great roadmap. We just want to get the word out there and raise awareness about these small businesses and just get people shopping.
Yeah, especially coming into Christmas, we're hoping that people will certainly be able to go back to their markets, and there'll be no closures going forward or anything like that. But having that security of an online marketplace, or somewhere where they can host a web store, is really quite security going into Christmas, because they are guaranteed, well, they're not guaranteed sales, but, they're almost guaranteed sales, as opposed to, weather dependent markets and things like that. But I guess what you say about the products and being unique, it's just, if you haven't been on to Spend With Us, so all the W's, spendwithus.com.au, just go for a browse, because if you've ever had someone that's hard to buy for, or someone that has everything, it's like Christmas in there, because there are so many different things that you don't see in the big department stores, or at your local supermarket and things like that. Some people are just amazing with what they handmade, but of course it's not all about handmade things. But even still, some people are very, 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 very talented and often blow me out of the water with their talent. But there's also, it's just small businesses who are using it as their online platform as well. Ladies, I've loved hearing our story. I guess it's our story, but I think I've even learnt a few little things about what happened before we joined forces to really, I guess, change the landscape of people buying from rural and regional businesses. But as Lauren put it so eloquently, just also changing people's lives and changing families as well. So that's very heartwarming, I think. Any parting words? Any last parting words? Anything that I haven't mentioned that you would like people to know about our journey, your journey, the future? Lauren, do you have anything you wanted to add?
2020 has been an incredibly challenging year for each and every one of us across the country, and in different formats depending on the state that we live in. And I just, leading into Christmas, would just love for people to be mindful of being present and being grateful for what we have. And it is going to be a different Christmas. There's going to be a lot of families that won't get to connect with their loved ones. And by sharing your love via a gift or a surprise that can arrive on the doorstep that you've purchased through Spend With Us would also make a positive contribution to another family's life.
Yeah. And what do we say? It makes a small business owner do a happy dance. Sarah, any final words from you?
I guess I'd love to get out there that if you are a small business and you haven't got a website, or even if you do have a website and you'd like to look at ways to increase your sales, come and have a look at Spend With Us. It's a really simple platform to join. We've got like heaps of different packages. We've got a bushfire support plan if your business was affected by the bushfires. And, we'd love to, get your business on board and, really help you through the holiday season and beyond. And, we want to create a community for rural and regional small business owners. And, we'd love to have you involved with it too.
Yeah, beautiful. I will, of course, put the links to all of this in the show notes as well, so that you can go to the show notes and just find the links and click and come in and check it all out. Ladies, this has been a little bit of time coming. Trying to coordinate 3 very busy mums, business owners, has been a little bit tough, but I'm really thankful that you've given up your time for me today to do this. I think it's, such a heartwarming story. It's just, I love the fact that we are all in this together. And one day I hope that we actually get to sit down and have a cheeky wine and celebrate in person for sure. I hope you enjoyed the little look into the other side of my business life. If you've got an idea in your head and it could have a positive impact on change for someone or something, then my advice is just do it. Just put it out there into the world and see what happens. I had no idea the movement I was creating when I thought I was just doing a good deed to make a Facebook group up like I've done so many other times, invited my friends and my family and my colleagues and my clients heading into Christmas last year, but had no idea the momentum it would get. So you don't always have to see the future or see the impact the idea that you have rattling on inside your head might actually have on the world. But if I can leave you with the words my mentor always taught me: ready, fire, aim. Ready, fire, aim. Because the world doesn't need any more people aiming to do something. The world needs more action takers. So I hope that you are going to be one of those action takers. So that's all for episode 97. I will be back for episode 98 next Thursday. Holy crap on a cracker. Episode 98. Anyway, goodness me. Enjoy your fabulous week. If you're enjoying this podcast and you've listened this far, so hopefully you did, I would love for you to hit the subscribe button and share this episode with another superstar business owner doing that daily grind who would really appreciate someone making their business life simpler. If you've got a few seconds to leave a rating and a review, then I would so appreciate that as well. And of course, thank you to Philippa Smith, who left me a fabulous review on Apple Podcasts. I have listened to the first 20 episodes in a week and I'm so excited and had a light bulb moment about my why. And it's different to what I've thought for 4 years. Thank you. I am dreaming big. Can't wait to listen to all your other episodes. Thank you, Jen, so much. Philippa, that is such a beautiful review. Thank you so much for leaving that. But seriously, 20 episodes in 1 week, that's a whole lot of Jen time. So hats off to you for that, for sure. Philippa, if you get a chance, please reach out and let me know your Instagram handle so I can also put that in the show notes and give you a shout out as well. Of course, that's it. Episode 98 will be coming next Thursday, but in the meantime, let's hang out and get social on social. You'll, of course, find me at Instagram, Facebook, my favourite LinkedIn, or, of course, you can come and hang out in the Like-Minded Business Owners Facebook group that I have, the one that doesn't have 300,000 people in it, but certainly a really great group to hang out with if you're a small business owner. But whatever you do, my small business peeps, remember, as my opening song says, there is no point in dreaming small.
No time like the present. Tell it like you feel it, say it proud, be true, and let us see you for the star that you are. No point in dreaming small.